Call a special meeting, Apache Junction City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Rizzi,
Present.
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Heck,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. And we don't have a consent agenda. Agenda items is the public hearing. Matt.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, I'm actually going to turn it over to Leslie Duresh, our Finance Director, to walk us through these final steps for the budget adoption. That tonight is your final budget adoption and public hearing. So Leslie, why don't you go ahead and walk them through it?
Yes, there have been no changes to the budget since the tentative budget was adopted on 5/16. So we weren't going to give another presentation because it hasn't changed. But if you have any questions about the budget, I'm here to answer those questions. If you don't have any questions, then we can go ahead and move to adopt the resolution.
For the public, if we don't have questions, just so they know, we've been over this and over it and over it. Well, we've had an opportunity outside of our two new folks, but
And I'll note too that there is a public work session on May 2nd, and then the tentative budget adoption 2 weeks later on the May 18th, 16th, something.
May
like that,
16th.
somewhere in that, yeah. So.
Matt, could you go over to when folks will see the final budget in public on our website?
Yeah, so this would be posted, if it is passed tonight by the City Council, it'll be posted tomorrow on the website. And actually, they can see the tentative budget, like Leslie mentioned, it's unchanged. They can see that there now on both the Legistar website for the agendas as well as the city website.
Okay, I got one question to ask concerning the wonderful price of fuel as it's going up. How are we adjusting that for our budget? Because prediction is that we're going to magically reach approximately $10 a gallon. And I know we've budgeted for a lot less than that. What would happen if it does go up that high?
So we did ask this question of our Public Works Director today, in fact, and we did almost double the budget that was in there from last year. But if it does go to $10 a gallon, we may have to make some adjustments. Leslie, anything further? I think current year's budget was $500,000, and in this budget, it's about $900,000 that we budgeted for fuel.
Right, even if the gas prices do go up quite a bit, we still have a significant budget to cover that. If it goes up more than that, then we will just have to make adjustments from other areas in our budget.
So can someone in our staff take a psychic class of some kind so we have a better idea sooner?
I could top that. I was
My-
going to say, I bind that in the name of Jesus.
That might be as good of a tactic right now as any, of trying to figure out. So we took the methodologies, we took our worst month, in the last couple months, if I've got this right, Mike, and then multiplied by 12, it turns out to be just under $1 million, which is about, what, 500,000 more, or 550 more than this current fiscal year.
So I have a question. So, it's not like we're pulling up to the QT and filling up. We have a filling station over there. Certainly, we're not paying commercial prices like everybody else is paying.
That's correct, we're not.
Yeah, we buy in bulk, and we have our own filling station down at Public Works.
So what are we paying per gallon now?
It's actually going to be a topic on your next work session agenda, if you want to wait for the experts, or we can invite them up now. I don't know the exact price right now, the contractual price, but
Okay.
we do have an agenda item on the next work session that's going to discuss fuel prices.
Okay.
Okay. So we don't need a motion on this, do we?
It's a public hearing, and you do need, yeah.
Yep, we'll need a public hearing and then a adoption of the final budget resolution.
Oh, I see. There's a motion, yes. Can I have a motion for this?
Your Honor, if you'd open up the public hearing for any public comment.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I guess I wanted to get it done with. This is a public hearing, and it's open to the public for any comments. and I don't see anybody moving, so I will close the public hearing. Now I'll call for a motion.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 22-12, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the City of Apache Junction, Arizona, fully adopting estimates of expenditures by the City of Apache Junction for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2023, declaring establishment of the budget for the City of Apache Junction for fiscal year 2022, 2023, and declaring an emergency be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Heck?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
Thank you. We don't have any old business or new business, so I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
And I nominate Anna to go for the psychic classes.
Okay.
Just in case. Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to call
Right on there.
City of Apache Junction City Council work session to order. I guess we'll do the roll call again. Make
Mayor-
sure everyone did not leave.
Mayor Wilson?
Here?
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Present.
Councilmember Evans?
Here.
Councilmember Heck?
Here.
Councilmember Johnson?
Here.
Councilmember Nesser?
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Okay. Present and discussion on telecommunication. And I've been told we can combine the two, also presentation and discussion of telecommunications license. Doug?
Honorable Mayor, council members. I'm going to do agenda items 22-371 and 22-373 based on the uniform right-of-way license agreements. Wired and Intrepid Internet Service Providers, ISPs we refer to them, required to provide services, requested to provide services to the City of Apache Junction. Based on the Arizona Revised Statutes, Section 9-583, Wired and Intrepid entered a right-of-way agreement, license agreement with the City of Apache Junction to provide telecommunication services. Now, Arizona Revised Statutes, Section 9-1402, our licensed video service providers provide video service like television and video channels like CenturyLink, Mediacom, and Cox Cable. They follow a state mandate uniform contract. Both types of agreement require right-of-way permits through the City of Public Works Department here in City of Apache Junction. So with that, the southern expansion for the City of Apache Junction has made it advantageous for ISPs to provide services to our residents now. And they have all committed to build out in the northern and southern areas of the city, having new fiber infrastructure with new equipment by the ISPs will enable citizens, businesses, and local government to have state-of-the-art bandwidth. So I'll answer any questions if you have for me.
What is the expansion of the bandwidth? I mean,
So
what is their capability? Because I know that that's a big issue for a lot of the businesses here, that we have very limited choices, and the ones we have are very narrow.
yeah, so with these two ISPs, they were able to put in new fiber infrastructure. So that means where the City of Apache Junction, US West was one of the first businesses to come in here. They got bought out by CenturyLink and then also Lumen now. But that infrastructure is very old. And same with the other provider in the city. So these are going to be brand-new builds for infrastructure with fiber, and also the equipment is going to be brand-new as well. So City of Maricopa just finished a project with Cox Cable, and they put in all new infrastructure and build out for that. So it's going to be able to provide a better infrastructure for businesses, residents, and the government to provide bandwidth and be able to current state of business.
That's been a huge issue here for a while.
But what is the highest capacity that they have that they can offer to the business?
Yeah, it will be a gigabyte for businesses They can even increase it for expandable, so it can be burstable as well, meaning whatever you need, they can provide it to you at a time for a service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will it be done in phases, Doug?
Yeah, it'll be done in phases. They're actually starting in the northern part of Apache Junction, which is fantastic. And so they'll be able to provide that and have a competitive for our customers and citizens for the first time. So,
Yay, yeah.
yeah, it's very exciting.
This need.
But this is really based on the right-of-way agreement on how they put their infrastructure under, above ground and below ground. So, any further questions?
Just glad they're doing it up north.
Yeah. That was one of the issues with MediaCom, is that they needed to provide cable TV at the time, the best technology to everybody. And so this will do that for everyone, and we have this on for tomorrow
Yes.
for consent, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
No other questions? Okay.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Discussion of First Amendment to the Apache Junction Bulk Fuel Agreement. Heather?
A little shorter than Doug. Heather Hodgman, Administrative Services Manager. So tonight we're going to talk about the fuel that was mentioned a little earlier. I just want to kind of give a background. Back in October 2017 is when we entered into a 5-year agreement with Southern Counties Oil, which we reference them as SC Fuels. The annual contract was $500,000. The agreement is for 5 years, so it's 1 year with 4-year options to renew. And the contract that we're currently in, ends in October of this year. So the amendment that we're requesting is actually going to be retro all the way back to May 1st. We'll go to the end of September of this year. A little bit on the fuel pricing. As you guys know, it's volatile and it's gone up and down. We do not pay what we pay as consumers at the gas pumps. So what is a total differential plus the OPIS rate. So the differential you'll see with the different diesels and the unleaded and the E85. So that is added to the OPIS rack rate when it is pulled and drawn and put on the vehicles, on the trucks. So we did, just to answer your question, Mr. Schroeder, we did try to get a current amount as of today for the fuel pricing, but we weren't able to. Last week, diesel was $5.29 and unleaded was $5.18 a gallon.
Is what we're paying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not too far off of what the public is paying.
A little bit.
Diesel's probably, unleaded is what, 40 cents, 50 cents difference, yeah.
It's a little bit.
A little bit of savings.
Yeah,
but-
it's up with some of the size vehicles we have too, plus some of the mileage, I guess.
Yeah.
Man.
So the anticipated cost that we're thinking that it would be is $6 for unleaded and $6.25 for diesel. So right now, when we went back the last 6 months on our average of how many gallons we've kind of used was 4,100 for diesel and a little over 7,400 for unleaded. So it's going up. So staff's recommending entering into a First Amendment with Southern Counties Oil SC Fuels in the amount of $360,000 from May 1st to September 30th of this year. Any questions?
Probably getting a bunch of grimaces.
Any questions?
I guess what happens to this money is if the price of fuel goes down?
Everything's based off the market rate. So if it's down and the OPIS rack is $4.50 for unleaded, we pay that plus the differential, so our price goes down. So everything's based on the market.
So this is just basically a amendment to take it up to, if needed, with a cap.
Correct.
Okay.
So price goes down, we pay less. This is that.
But we're
amount.
earmarking this money for that.
Then it'll
So
be,
it'll carry over to the next?
correct. Yeah.
So this
Yeah, cross your fingers, yep.
is probably a weird question, but how do we determine when we drop fuel? Do we just do it when the tank is almost empty? Do we check the prices and say, this went down, we can,
So our fleet supervisor keeps records of how many gallons are used for each of them, and then he actually orders that amount. So they don't just randomly come in and drop off whatever amount they want. He actually says, I need 4,000 gallons of E85 and 5,000 of unleaded. He actually tells them what we need delivered. So he actually, because of fuel, everyone goes in and fuels at Public Works. They put their vehicle number in, they put the amount of gallons in, and so that actually, he keeps track of that.
Are we at a level that where we're purchasing right now, that if we were getting just a little bit more fuel, that we would be at a higher discount? Where are the tiers for the brakes?
There is not. It's all by market value. So it's
So
the
whatever the
Opus
daily
rack,
price.
whatever that is, plus the differential, which differential is freight and taxes and stuff like that, so.
Well, the people in charge of that would know that, correct?
SC Fuels?
The people in the city would know if there was different tiers. They would say, hey, hold off, wait, let's, or whatever. They would know that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Your comment?
Oh, wow, so whether, if we bought 4,000 or 10,000, we're still paying the same
Same
amount
price.
per
Correct.
gallon. That seems a little stupid.
That does.
But you did say that part of that is the tax?
So the differential includes, it's freight and taxes. That's what it all
If
includes.
if they did drop some of the federal fuel taxes, would that affect that?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you for the sad news. And that'd be for the consent agenda tomorrow as well, right?
Yep, yes.
Correct.
Okay, presentation, discussion, and Third Amendment for license agreement with Tyler Technologies. Anna. Oh, there you is.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Anna McCray, Assistant to the City Manager. I'm here this evening to discuss with you an amendment to our agreement with Tyler Technologies for the Munis Utility Billing Software, which the Water District intends to utilize. Before I begin, I'd like to point out a discrepancy, and I apologize for it. In the title of this agenda item, it mentions that this is the third amendment to this agreement, and the agreement itself labels it as the Fifth Amendment. This is indeed the Fifth Amendment to the city's contract with Tyler Technologies. The previous four amendments had to do with the procurement of the HR, Human Resources, and Payroll modules, our executive timekeeping system, which is in progress, and there were two change orders for converting dollars allocated to data conversions, sorry. Some data conversions we were able to do through imports. So we changed those, the dollar in the contract for some additional implementation consultant services. The other part of that was selling back to Tyler some of the time clocks that were purchased. So with that, we'll get started. So the city currently has a contract with Tyler Technologies for their enterprise planning system. An enterprise resource planning system, ERP, is a software that manages and streamlines multiple business processes in a single system. What that means is some of the standalone software that the city had is now under this one umbrella of this ERP system that we know as Munis here in the city. The core components of that program right now for the city include financials, accounts payable, accounts receivables, purchasing, human resources, payroll, reporting, and now we're looking for the proposed utility billing. It is cloud-based, it's hosted in the cloud, and Tyler Technologies has two data centers, one in Maine and one in Dallas for redundancy of data. So our project phases included, a contract was signed in 2018. Our financials went live on July 1st of 2020. Phase 2 of Human Resources and Payroll went live on January 1st, 2021. And this proposed phase, the Munis Utility Billing, will go live on or before September 30th of 2023. So the implementation of the Munis Utility Billing includes kind of a current state and future state analysis, taking the processes that they do now in the system and looking at how it will work in the new system to configure that system. There'll be a conversion of customer data. All customers will receive a new account number. They will be notified of this well in advance, starting in January of 2023. And 5 years of customer utility billing history will be converted over into the new system. Testing and validation, including parallel billing, will be ran, and then more communication prior to go live. That go live date, again, on or before September 30th, 2023. So the Munis utility billing software will replace the current system used for utility billing, which is our AS400, which has been in place since 1994. This streamlines this business process and integrates it fully with our financial system, so no more dual entry, where right now we're taking in the accounts receivable in our AS400 and we're turning around and staff's having to enter that same data into our Munis system. So now that will alleviate that gap in information. The system also integrates with our geographical information system, our GIS mapping. It provides for automated customer notifications and makes it a lot easier when residents relocate and transfers of those accounts. There will not be impact to customers. They will still be able to pay their bill over the phone, in person, or online. So the reason why this is on the work session tonight is because the water utility district is using our city contract. They will reimburse the city for those expenses, much like they do with other shared costs and services that the city provides. They are using the existing contract. This, again, is the Fifth Amendment to that. The agreement includes the implementation cost and 1 year of maintenance and support. The one-time implementation cost is $117,571. Annual maintenance and support cost is $25,567. And then there's 20% contingency in the amount of $28,645.60 for a total not to exceed $171,873.60. There are a lot of unknowns in software upgrades, conversions, hence the 20% contingency in there. We hope not to use it, but it's in there just for information. You'll also hear about this from Mike Loggins, the Water District Director, at tomorrow's Water Board meeting. But we thought we'd bring it to your attention because, Council, you have to approve the contract, and that will be on consent on tomorrow night's meeting. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
It sounds so weird to hear 2023. It's just next year. It's like, what, how did that happen?
We're out there.
Yes.
Anna, I have a question that I just can't figure out, and it's a curiosity question. But since the city does not own or operate the Water Utility Facilities District, why are we voting on this and not that board, the Water Board?
Because it is the city contract, and that's what they're using as a vehicle for the procurement, City Council must approve that amendment. Tomorrow night, you'll hear about it at the Water Board, and with the adoption of their budget, then that's budgeted in their budget that they will reimburse the city for.
And we're doing that because we're saving.
We are saving a lot of money. If they went out and tried to procure this on their own without the city's contract vehicle that they can benefit from, then they would be paying a lot more money for the same product.
So we're just voting on it because we have to have it in our budget, and then we contract to get reimbursed from the district?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, I think.
Do you have anything to add, Leslie?
Yeah, I just want to mention that the water district is actually a component unit of the city, even though they're a separate entity. We do have a very strong financial relationship with them, and we share a lot of services, but they do reimburse us first, and they are fully cost sufficient. So the city will not bear any of that cost.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I just want to reiterate the why. If you can imagine having to work with Corel WordPerfect. So you may remember Corel WordPerfect, 1994-ish. This is critical and essential. When we have folks in the world, either our customers and or our talented workforce who are coming in the workforce, if we keep the AS400, keep the 1994 that isn't, fixable, this is getting us to what our customers expect, what our residents expect on how to interact with your public entity, the water district. So I just want to say thank you for allowing and trusting us to get us updated. This was one of the last items that we've been working on for 7 years to fix some of those ways that we interact with the public.
I have to say, as an accountant, when I even saw that on there, I know she saw my expression, because that is something that we probably would have taken out and shot.
Yeah.
But I am sure that this is just as welcome as getting rid of the pods, or the park department was, to actually move into
That's another one.
the actual now and the future, because that software has not even been viable for 10 years easy.
You are correct, Councilmember Johnson. I've kindly put a screenshot of what that AS400 looks like for you all.
Okay, no other questions? Be on the consent agenda tomorrow,
Thank you.
after the water board meeting.
Correct.
Presentation and discussion of City of Apache Junction Public Safety Retirement System. Leslie.
Fun one.
Yeah, good evening, council. We are here to adopt the pension policy. We are required by state law to adopt this policy every year. There are actually a little bit of changes to the policy this year due to the fact that we're issuing a revenue bond to reduce that pension obligation. So it does state in here that we're going to set up a pension reserve, and that we're going to try and keep the unfunded legacy liability at 0. But other than that, it's the same format as all the previous pension policies we've brought forward.
Okay, anyone got any questions? Okay, again, there'll be a consent agenda item. And presentation discussion of Resolution 22-24, City of Apache Junction Finance Policy. Again, Leslie.
Okay, and this is a set of policies. We have never brought these forward to council before, but this is a GFOA recommended best practice for cities to bring forth a set of policies that kind of guide the city and to have council adopt it. These are pretty generic, high-level concepts, and it's a pretty standard practice for most cities to bring this forward and have their council adopt them. So we would like to have you guys take a look at these policies and adopt them tomorrow. And also, we will be bringing this back every year because things do change. So it will kind of follow along with the pension policy each year.
GFOA, that acronym is?
That's Government Finance Officers Association, and they are also the ones that issue our Certificate of Achievement in Financial Reporting Award each year. And they're just a professional association for municipal governments.
And another piece of this was when we went through the ratings or that credit rating process. As we keep doing this, it'll be essential to have these reviewed and assessed every year, and it'll show that the governing board and staff are working together to make sure that's a priority, that we're reviewing those policies and making sure they're front and center, right, Leslie? That was something that kind of comes up.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
They expect us to have adopted financial policies.
Okay, any questions? Don't see none. All right, this will be on the consent agenda also, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and my next item is adjournment. So we'll adjourn. Thank you.
That was impressive for all those presentations.